This happened like 15 years ago. It was school holidays, and my friend, we'll call her Sarah, and I were extremely bored and just wanted to chill. This was summertime. We lived in a small town called New Braunfels in Texas. Everything is kind of spread out. Anyways, it was around midnight and we didn't know where to go, so we just decided to go to the park. It's a little big. We were there for an hour or so, nothing unusual, until we both saw someone or something crouched on a table. First off, a little weird someone else being in the same park at this time. But what was creepy is that this person was crouching on top of a table. He wasn't even sitting on the bench. What really messed me up was what I noticed: there were wings. The body was completely human, but had wings. And the part that I'll never forget is, all of a sudden, the most blood-curdling scream, like a woman being stabbed to death. But it sounded like a woman, but unhuman at the same time. Like a scream that a normal person doesn't do, but a scream animals can't even make. Almost like those screams in movies that a demon or something makes. Then it just stands up. And this guy has to be 8 feet tall, minimum. We both ran as fast as we could. Have you ever ran to your lungs' max capacity? I ran until I had no air left in my lungs, and then kept running until I had to slow down because I was coughing too much. We knocked on people's doors and kept getting threatened that they have guns and will shoot if we don't leave. We were literally locked outside with this thing. I kept looking into the sky because this reminded me of Jeepers Creepers, the movie. After maybe 20 minutes, the police show up and of course think we're on drugs, but wanted to let us go. I walked the rest because I lived a few blocks away. The police drove my friend home. There was a white cop and a Mexican cop. When the Mexican cop heard the story, he pretended like it's just made up, but the look on his face said he knows something about this thing that nobody knows. I have PTSD now and hate going outside alone at night, especially near parks or the woods. Weird people don't really scare cops. Animals don't really scare cops. But you know it was something much worse if a cop lies and can't keep a straight face because of fear. Like I said, it's a story that happened and I remember clear as day, but a story nobody believes. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, my sisters and I used to share a room. Most nights, my older sister and I would see 2 distinct figures. She would see a lady in white standing in the doorway, directly in front of my bed. I would see a man with red eyes, or at least I thought it was a man, as all I could see were red eyes. Though my sister could see the lady, she said she never spoke to her. She just stood there getting closer every night. While I, on the other hand, would see a pair of bright red eyes staring at me from the closet. A disembodied masculine voice would whisper, "JJ, come to the closet and play," over and over. Sometimes my older sister and I would jump in each other's beds and hide under the blankets until morning. This was going on for months until my dad decided to get the house blessed again. We never saw them after that. I'm 24 now. My wife and I recently had a baby. I've been having weird dreams recently. They would always start with me standing in my son's room, staring at the closet, and the familiar set of red eyes would stare back at me. My most recent dream, he actually spoke, his voice a lot deeper and booming than I remember. "You didn't come play with me, but your son may be the one to play," he said before I woke up. I called my dad and told him about the whole thing. He told me he remembers me telling him about that man years before. But then, just then, he went silent for about 5 minutes. When he spoke again, he recounted seeing the same figure as a child. He also told me he remembered having the same dream after I was born. I've blessed my house twice already, but I can only protect my son so much. I just hope, I really, really hope, that he doesn't go play in the closet. I may never see him again. This is probably the creepiest, most unexplainable thing that has ever happened to me. I used to work overnight as a security guard at the local port. Usually none of the port workers would stay overnight except for the safety official. I wouldn't be on the shift alone since the site has a radius of nearly 2 miles. Overnight, usually there would be 3 guards, including me. Since the area was fairly big, there were different posts, but front gate was the main entrance area where all of the guards would be stationed overnight, since there was no need to put them in other posts, due to the fact that there was no activity in the site at this time. The veteran guards that have been there for years would often say that the site was haunted, given the fact that there have been accidents and deaths that occurred in the area a long time ago. I was aware that people died there due to freak accidents, and and I do believe in angels and demons since I'm actually a religious person, but I always thought that the superiors were just messing with the new guys. I would work 5 to 6 nights out of the week, and for the first few weeks, I never really saw or heard anything out of the ordinary, except for maybe a few questionable creaks, and would see a few misplaced objects while doing my patrol rounds. But nothing too crazy. Just to describe the setting to you, this is a fairly big site, and on occasions, when there were big projects being constructed at the port, the workers would sometimes stay overnight. Due to the fact that there were times where port workers were required to stay at the port for a few days, there's a gym in the site for their convenience. This gym is fairly old. In the gym there's a sauna, weights, and even a racquetball court. If you don't know what a racquetball court is, it's similar to an indoor tennis court with thin plastered walls and thick glass doors. Usually on our patrol rounds, me and one of the other guards, Mike, would stop by the gym and play a few rounds of racquetball before returning back to the front gate. On one of those nights, me and Mike decided to hit a full workout instead of playing racquetball in the cage. This is around 2:30 a.m., and the entire building is so quiet that you can hear the electricity running through the lights. The air conditioner is off, and so is everything else. The only thing that's running are the lights. 15 to 20 minutes into the workout, we hear a loud thump. We crossed it off as nothing and continued working out. Then, after a few more minutes, we heard the loud thump once more. At first, we thought it was our lieutenant, which could have been walking around, but then we radioed him and he gave us his location, which was front gate. We tried thinking logically on what could be making those thumps on the wall. They were coming from the court on the other side. We thought it was the air conditioner, but then we remembered that it was off, and even when it's switched on during the day, there's no reports of thumps coming from the air conditioner. After a few more minutes, the thumps started occurring one right after another. We were very creeped out at this point, but what we were about to witness still scares the absolute shit out of me till this day. We started to approach the other side of the gym to where the glass door was. We turned on the flashlight and aimed it towards the clear glass door, and I got chills all over my body and I started tearing so much out of fear that I was about to cry. We saw one of the balls rolling slowly by itself inside the court, but there was no one in there. So that means the loud thumps were the balls mysteriously being tossed against the wall, as if something was playing inside the cage. We were both so confused and frightened to how this was really happening, we couldn't make sense of any of it. We were scared shitless, and we started yelling and running away because we knew that there was probably something evil toying with us right there. As we sprinted full speed back to the front gate, the lieutenant saw us and asked why we were tearing and running in a ridiculous manner. We told him what we witnessed, and his facial expression scared us even more. He then said, "That's why there's always guards that quit often. There's something evil in the area, and it's not the first time that something that bad has happened here." He then showed us security footage of dark figures and shadows literally passing through the office areas and lights mysteriously switching on and off. Till this day, I still get chills recounting my experience with my friends and family, and I'm even getting chills right now as I'm typing this. I had never had a real encounter with the supernatural until that night. Many say that it was a demonic presence messing around. Others say it was a ghost of a dead person who died in the area. I don't know what it was, but I didn't last long in the job after that. We moved into a house when I was about 10. We had plenty of friends in the neighborhood, and we had the biggest yard, so our house was like a revolving door. A few of our friends would stay at our house often because they enjoyed the creepy stuff that happens. One thing all of us agreed on is that we always had an uneasy feeling walking up the stairs. We couldn't walk up the stairs because you'd always get a sudden rush of terror, like something was there chasing you. Some of our friends made jokes it was because of the ghost. When I turned 15, I started dating a boy named T. One day he came over and the whole family decided to do a movie night. T and I sat by the door that gave you a whole full view of the stairs. The rest of the family was on the other side where they wouldn't have been able to see. During the movie, T asked why we didn't have my little brother watching it with us. I was the second oldest of 7, so if you've seen a kid, it wasn't out of the ordinary. I looked over at my 3 brothers sitting next to my mom and told him where they were. His face went white. I'll always remember how fast his face turned into a sunken white mask almost. I got worried and tried getting him to talk. He said he's gone. I said, "Who's gone?" T's voice started shaking. "He was right there. There was a little boy on the stairs staring at me. Where did he go? I didn't know what to say. We were both at a loss of words. A couple weeks later, a couple of my friends came over after school, and they all said they seen a boy on the stairs following me. None of my brothers were there. I am now 25. My parents still live in that house, and I still have to run up the stairs like that 15-year-old girl because I know he's still there.